Hello and welcome to the Happy, Healthy, Strong podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you live a happier, healthier, and stronger life. Building a life that you love starts with you owning your health and intentionally creating the best version of yourself. So if you're looking to better understand how proper nutrition, daily movement, mindset work, and strength training can help you create a life full of happiness and health, then you are in the right place. I generally hope that the tips, tricks, and information that we share will be the catalyst for change. I'm your host, Adam Lane. It's time to dive in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Happy, Healthy, Strong podcast. I'm your host, Adam Lane. With me today, Krystal, I'm losing count now. Is this sixth time we've been? Or
I think 5.
Was it 5?
This is 5. This is 5. Yep.
It's tough when you've done so. That's right. We did. Okay.
Yep.
Math is hard. Why is math so hard?
It's okay. You don't have to.
Mrs. Krystal Bolduc, food therapist, integrated holistic nutritionalist.
Very good. 5-time
Happy, Healthy, Strong.
Thank you.
Again, your co-host is what I need to introduce you
well,
as.
I'm sporting the merch today,
look at you.
I know.
That is a good-looking sweatshirt right there.
This is so soft and it's so lovely. I might just be wearing this for the next 4 days straight.
Let's be clear. If you ask anybody in the gym, I wear it every day. And you could say I wash it sometimes, but
it's okay.
It's not that often. No.
Nobody has to know.
I don't really work out in it. I'll work out, take it off, work out in the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Might sweat.
It's your professional.
Yes.
It's your uniform.
Yes.
Yeah.
I stay, far enough from people not to smell me. But typically it's me that smells, not the sweatshirt. So you just.
Well, I'm happy.
Anti-scent.
It doesn't smell at all currently.
Yes. There we go.
So yeah, I'm official, guys.
There we go.
Official.
You've made it big, really.
Part of the family.
It's pinnacle of your life at this point. This is
absolutely, heck yeah.
Of all the things, having kids, getting married now.
Okay,
geez.
it's up there, top 12.
There we go. Chris, I'm excited today because we were chatting before, and this is a hard thing. You have kids, I have kids.
Yes.
It is, and you work with adults. I work with adults.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to cough. Should have coughed harder before. It is frustrating / sad to see some of the adults that we have that don't know how to cook, don't know what foods to eat, don't know what healthy food is, rely on quick and convenient all the time. Heck, we just sadly saw some of our volleyball players, with a big McDonald's bag and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And again, no judgment, we've all had McDonald's. Raise your hand if you haven't had McDonald's.
For real.
Come on now. Geez.
Welcome to America.
Exactly.
And the rest of the world.
And yeah, pretty much. Yes. The rest of the world is nicely catching up. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you guys. Mm-hmm. But we're trying to raise kids that will just, again, not be crazy, but will prioritize their own health, will sleep when and no different than what adults should be doing, but sleep when they need to sleep, and eat good food when they need to eat good food, and not saying you have to be perfect. Yeah. But I am curious to know what you have done with your children in which to, because they're now 17 and 20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 20-year-old is mentally a 5-year-old.
Okay.
But yeah, so we could say about this. Yeah.
5 and 17.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think that's fair.
Mine are 9 and 12, almost 10 and 13. And it's interesting because there's always, kids nutrition. It's always something. There's, and you mentioned on a previous podcast that, oh my gosh, don't let me mess this up. The standard adult diet is 50 to 60% processed, something like that. 55% ultra processed. Mm-hmm. But the standard youth diet is pushing 80% processed.
Correct.
Which is crazy to think about.
Ultra processed.
Yeah,
it's okay. No, I just say ultra processed because not that probably anybody pays attention, but lots of things are processed, like our whole wheat, our rice pasta or our can of tomatoes, that's processed, essentially. But ultra processed is where it's can sit on a shelf and it's packaged and
can be there forever.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. So now we are, and again, a lot of people listening will have kids and will listen to this podcast. They want them to be, healthy and whatnot. We deal with a lot of these youth athletes and whatnot, and many of them I feel underachieve because they will have suboptimal nutrition, whether that be eating garbage or not eating enough. because so many of these kids will skip breakfast. They're good students. They work hard, but they might have an AP Chem test that day, and they might, eat, or drink a bubbler for lunch, because they're cramming for their AP Chem tests. Yeah. And then they'll run home and they'll eat. Literally, I had a parent tell me this, a couple of years ago. The day we gave this nutrition presentation, literally she had a bubbler at lunch, nothing for breakfast. She ate a piece of pizza and some gummy bears for pre-practice, came to practice, trained with us for an hour, or played volleyball for 2 hours, and then went home. I don't know if she ate anything at night. I hope she ate something, because holy cow.
It's mac and cheese,
but
probably.
We ate very little. And we ate garbage on the day.
Yeah.
And you're trying to be a high level athlete. And I'm not even talking about trying to be a high level athlete. I guess I'm, looking at nutrition from your view. Again, somebody that lost 120 pounds and did it the right way and has kept it off for years.
Yeah.
What have you done, or what did you do, or what are you currently doing with your kids to help make them functional adults?
Yeah.
So they can eat well their entire life.
Yeah. Well, it's a process, and I wouldn't say I have mastered at all, because, they still have free will. We have to acknowledge.
They have free will.
Yes. Yeah. We have to acknowledge that children, even more so than adults, are driven by dopamine, right? So it makes it hard when we're looking at, we're literally in a battle of what is triggering all of their pleasure receptors versus real food that most of the time doesn't, right? Yeah. Unless your baseline is small, then it does. But because the baseline is so high with ultra processed foods, it's not hitting the marks with real food. Yeah. So there's that piece. The second piece is that our children are being marketed to. I don't know if you've watched something on Hulu, ads.
It's insane. And my kids will have these commercials memorized. They will,
right?
Kind of like we did probably back in the day.
Sure, sure. But there's more.
Yes.
Right. In other countries, it is banned to market to children. Yeah. Banned. So I even know in Europe, they cannot put these commercials for these foods between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. at night.
Oh, wow.
And they're so their sugar cereals, their, snacks. Yeah. I don't even know why we call them snacks, but like the fruit gushers and all of the things. Yeah. Side note, in other countries, they don't have the ingredients that we have, because those countries have banned those ingredients, and we have them all. Another side note, I went to get peppermints the other day for a recipe that I want to make. Okay. And I could not find peppermints in this entire city without red dye number 3. Could not find peppermint candy without red dye in it. Could not find it. You go to other countries, that stuff is banned. Okay. So we're fighting a whole different battle that even the rest of the world is not facing. We look at our school lunches and the way the school lunches are put together versus other countries. Other countries have.
You're telling me a corn dog isn't, the most. Never mind. Sorry.
Corn dog.
Bad joke.
Some French fries, some canned chocolate pudding, and like a wrapped oatmeal cream cookie and a milk. Chocolate milk or something, right? This is ultra processed foods that are being delivered to our students especially our kids in a school system. I know my kids go to private school. Part of their tuition is a lunch. We opt out of the lunch that comes with our tuition because I don't want my kids eating that lunch. That's part of that. Well, if we don't have the awareness that our kids are literally being targeted to, because our food system knows that the younger they can get them in the nostalgia, in the emotional piece, in the dopamine piece, the longer they're going to be on that path. Is it some sort of conniving that they've written this plan on a chalkboard somewhere? No, but obviously sales go up if a little kid, all they want are some goldfish crackers, right? And they want some French fries. Can't tell you how many parents, especially of special needs, because I have a special needs child, will tell me, oh, I would love to do what you've done in Ethan and reverse the autism, but my kid will only eat chicken nuggets and French fries. Well, my child doesn't have the option to eat chicken nuggets and French fries, so that he can't choose that, right? We crave what we eat. I've said this before. I'll say it again. This is true for us. It's true for our children. We crave what we eat. What we put into our bodies is what our bodies will crave, or our brains will crave. If I never put in Sour Patch Kids, or if I stop putting in Sour Patch Kids for a long enough time, there's going to be a point where I'm not craving Sour Patch Kids. Yeah. Right? Instead, a grapefruit or some grapes are going to suffice in the way of the sour that I'm craving. Mm-hmm. Right? Does that make sense?
Oh, completely. I chuckle because, so we're into Christmas here. My youngest just had his last day of school on the 20th. What day is this? On the 20th, on Friday. They had as you can imagine, a fun day at school, and they had their little Christmas play and blah, 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 blah. Well, they had a little Secret Santa, and I don't know why this occurred, but my child came home with a bag of Sour Patch Kids, but they were the watermelon version, so they were all watermelon. And he came out to the car when I picked him up. I'm like, buddy, this thing is half gone. He's like, well, I gave some to my friends. I'm like, how many did you give to your friends? Well, a few, Dad. So let me get this straight. You've eaten most of this package. Yeah. And again, coming from a kid that doesn't really get molested, but when given the opportunity, the floodgates open up. And again, what you said with kids and dopamine, this kid runs on all dopamine all the time. Again, 9 years old. That's what he does. But sorry, I chuckled when you said Sour Patch Kids. That's because that's exactly where my mind went. But sadly, and I don't know if I notice this quite a bit. I bet you do the same. When my kids eat stuff like that, 20 minutes later, half hour later, they're not fun to be around.
Correct.
And I get mad at myself because I'm like, I shouldn't have let him have this, because now I want to throw him out the window and kick him out of the car. Like, this is why are you acting like this? Why are you saying those things? Why are you it just, but I know he doesn't feel good. Yeah. And he actually kind of admitted it. He's like, my tummy kind of hurts. I'm like, that's weird. You know, and it didn't stop at the Sour Patch Kids. There were Christmas cookies and and other nonsense that he ate on the day. So,
well, there's studies where they have gone into juvenile detention centers and changed their food intake. And suicidal thoughts went down massively. Depression went down massively. Anger went down massively. Behaviors straightened out just by changing the food. So it's not so much that we have an education problem. We have a connection problem. Yeah. I have a friend as well. You have lots of friends that are teachers. I have a couple. And one is an office
poor teachers,
manager.
God bless them.
Yeah. Well, the week of Christmas, she was saying it has been like the floodgates are open. And I was like, why do you think that is? And like behaviors, like 9 kids in the class went down to the class office or something like that. And I said, why do you think that is? And she said, because they can't wait to get out on school break. I said, well, what else is happening this week? Yeah. Let's talk about what else is happening. Okay. People are sending in treats. They're having parties. They're having this, fun thing fun.
Yes.
It makes me crazy. Fun things can't happen. You can't do something fun without some sort of toxic chemical storm of a treat is involved. So you're filling these little bodies with all of these toxic chemicals. And so what's happening? Inflammation of the brain, which causes behavioral issues, right? Erratic emotional responses. No, they're not dramatic, or they're not trying to be bad. It's that their bodies don't know how to process the stuff that's coming in, let alone the stuff that kids are even coming to school with breakfast, having, a bag of Oreos at breakfast and a soda or something. Like, when I've gone to my son's school and I'm seeing these kids and their lunches that they packed on their own, I'm like, what in the world? Yeah. It's not that we need more education of what's good and bad. It's that we need a revelation of connection, right? So our athlete, you mentioned the athletes out there. If you could give them a span of time or a challenge so that they feel a connection to what they're putting in their body, which will equal their performance or their recovery, their thought process may start to change. Yeah. It's the same thing with our kids, right? When my kids would go to the birthday party, was I like, don't you eat anything there because it's bad, right? Last thing I want to do is create an eating disorder in my child, right? So I'm trying to be free and open. Okay, make your decisions. Eat the meal at home before you go to the birthday party that has the pizza and that has all the things. This was before we were a little more, boundaries of what we ate, but I eat now. But coming home, feeling sick, feeling tired, feeling like crying about everything, being hyper emotional about everything. Hey, buddy, what did you do earlier? What did you eat today? Well, I had some Oreos and I had, I ate somebody gave me their fruit gushers and, whatever, just like helping them recollect, what did I eat today? Do you think that might have something to why you had to go to the office at school today? Or do you think maybe that's why you're crying so much? Or do you think maybe that's why you're so tired? Right. And if they're like, nope, every time we help them see that pattern, we help them connect, help them connect, like even if you eat something, say you ate some of the the sour watermelons, right? Be like, oh, those are tasty. Let's turn this around. What's in this? Right? Let's look at the ingredients. Oh, there's this and this. Our bodies just don't like that. No. Our bodies don't like that. Our brains like it because it makes our brain tell us it tastes really good, but our bodies don't like this. So here, have a couple more. And let's trash the rest. Right? So instead of making it this astringent, like, right or wrong, good or bad, tumultuous relationship with food from a young age, because now they're just going to eat it in the closet or they're going to eat it and ditch the evidence, which we don't want to be, create closet eaters because they're still going to eat it. We've got to create a connection. So how can we help our kids connect to what they're putting in their body? So also with the food in the house, have them be a part of the meal planning. Like what can we make this week? What are you craving this week? Right? So, okay, mac and cheese. All right. Well, there's a mac and cheese that I make. It's on my Instagram. If you ever, I've actually got 3 different ones. Okay. We're mac and cheese fans. Brown rice pasta. I make this cheese sauce out of onion, pepper, potato, nutritional yeast, and some cashews. You would never guess that it's made out of this. In fact, when I first made it, I saw kind of a scratched out recipe of this and I literally made it to prove that it would not taste good. And it was great. And then I enhanced it as I went. But so when he's like mac and cheese, okay, I'm going to make a mac and cheese that isn't full of chemicals and junk. And so that this becomes what they eat and what tastes good to them. And then when they go to eat other stuff outside of that, it tastes weird or I don't really like that. But it starts now. You're at a really great age because you haven't lost all control. There is
not yet,
school,
but yes.
But it's coming. Once they start driving, it's next level, right? Then that's the real test. Like they can go wherever they want, especially when they have a job and they're driving. My 17-year-old, right? Like if he wanted to go get McDonald's, he could, right? But my mom heart is happy and I feel like I have done a good job because he's not wanting to go get that. He's wanting to come home and get food, right? That's the goal. But in the meantime, it's very important that they like what they eat. It can't just be bland. It can't be like dad's, steak, rice, and steamed broccoli. Right? It's got to be something that is enjoyable. And I believe that adults are the same. That's why my recipes, if you go to my Instagram, they're not like your bland, just basic food. Like it's stuff that tastes good because we're not going to consistently do something that isn't yummy. We're not going to want to eat something that isn't yummy. So that also involves desserts. I am an avid believer to always have desserts in the house. Because if we don't have desserts in the house, once a dessert is presented, they're going to overeat and binge on that dessert because they haven't had sweet or sugar in so long. They're going to hoard it all, right? So I always have a muffin or a chocolate bread or a cookies or something. I make them on Food Prep Sunday. I make a treat. Okay, guys, what are you craving this week? What should we make? Oh, I love the, zucchini muffins, the chocolate chip zucchini muffins. Okay, I'll whip up a batch of those. Let's do pancakes.
We should be clear when we say, constant
treats,
desserts.
I'm sorry.
What these look like, because they're not just Oreos, you know, and Chips Ahoy.
Yes. And it has been a progression, right? To get that stuff out so that they do crave what they eat.
Yeah.
They love, and who knows, you know, when their friends come over. I remember one of Brighton's best friends came over and we were having a red lentil soup that night. Not the normal lentil soup, but a red lentil soup. It's got like coconut cream and it's a very like cozy, warm thing. Okay. And this kid literally eats like 10 things. And I was like, oh, dang it. He's never going to want to come over here ever again. He ate it and he loved it. He went home and told his mom about it. And his mom's like, what is this? He's never eaten a lentil in his life, you know? And I was just like, wow, you never know. But most of the times when you do introduce a new, clean, lesser palatable food that isn't full of flour, oil, sugar, and salt, it's not going to be as enticing because it doesn't hit all the receptors of the brain. Yeah. Right. So it's going to take some time to get to where like, oh, this is not like the Toll House cookies because it's not. But if that's what they are used to having, like you guys need to make my oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. It's literally a few ingredients. Done. There's no oil in them. Is this
on your Instagram?
Yes.
I need to
go to the desserts highlight and just flip through those desserts. And it's literally oat flour, like a little bit of maple syrup, mini chocolate chips, and some banana, I think. And that's all it is. And they make the fluffiest chocolate chip cookies. They are always asking for those. Right. So get them involved.
Sounds delicious.
Get them involved. And it's basically like eating a small little bowl of oatmeal, right? As a dessert. Yeah. So getting our kids involved is so important. Taking them to the grocery store, as miserable as it seems now, you will be so glad that you did. Yeah. You know, hey, go over there, pick out, 3 fruits that are your favorite, even if it's a little pricier, than you want it to be, have them be involved in this. Have them be involved in the washing and the chopping and the putting it in the oven and then tasting it, because there is a sense of pride that comes up when they are part of making something that's amazing. Yeah. Even if it's not amazing and you don't think it's amazing, you talk about how amazing it is. Yeah. Like these Brussels sprouts are the best Brussels sprouts I've ever had. Yeah. You made these, like really build them up and give them that encouragement in the kitchen, because this is really a lost art that's happening. Like I even had to learn certain things. I grew up in Wyoming. We ate a meat, a starch, and a canned veggie of some sort, a corn, cut green beans, something like that. I didn't know really how to chop and prepare roasted anything, asparagus, let alone, I didn't even really sure what asparagus was. Yeah. So I had to watch YouTube videos on how to, I remember when I first did a leek, I was like, what do I do with a leek? I really want to make this soup. How do I prepare a leek? I don't know.
I don't even know what you're saying right now.
It's like, it's a plant. It's like an onion type vegetable. Okay. I didn't know what to do with it. Yeah. All that to say. Also remember bok choy. I was like, I don't know what to do with bok choy. So you look it up together on YouTube, right? Like, oh, what is this? Oh, this is a Chinese cabbage. What do we do with Chinese cabbage? Oh, also known as Napa cabbage. What do we do with this? And you watch a little YouTube clip on it. You slice it up, saute it in a pan, make a stir fry out of it, whatever. Yeah. And then you get to try it together. You like have this food adventure exploration together that isn't like, oh, let's go to this restaurant. We haven't been there in a while. Or let's go check out this place that just opened, this new place up on Riverside, this beef something. We've not been there. Let's go there as a family. Why not go to the grocery store and try something as a family,
Yeah. I love what you're saying because I see this so much, specifically my youngest one, that he loves control. And again, just runs on dopamine. If we empower him to do stuff, I took him to the grocery store yesterday. We had mom's list, plus dad adds some things to it. But like basically I just put the cart in the middle of Aldi. And I just sent him, hey buddy, we need broccoli, go. Hey, we need, mango, banana, go. And he's carrying the stuff that, of course he drops the bananas, but whatever, so we got some bruised bananas, whatever, we got over it.
Make some muffins out of them.
But we should.
Pancakes.
But like literally like shot him all over the store. And it's funny when he's in that control. This morning I was telling you this, that he, well, this is funny because yesterday morning I cooked up some eggs. It was before church and whatnot. And I asked him, Quinn, do you want eggs? He said, yeah, Dad, I'll take 2 eggs. Okay, great. So I threw it in with Dad's eggs and, whatever. And gave him his part. And then he's like, oh, I'm just not that hungry. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just made these eggs. We're wasting eggs. Here, take him to church. Take him to go, we'll take him. He picked out a few of them, but like, it was frustrating. This morning hits. And so Dad didn't make him any eggs. Like, I'm eating my own eggs. You can fend for yourself. Blah, 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 blah. And so he tried to do something. I forgot what Dad, I want to make it, or Mom, I want to make a grilled cheese. She was like, we're not making grilled cheese. Eat something breakfasty. We need some protein. Blah, 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 blah. He makes his own egg sandwich all by himself. Devours the whole thing. Like, again, if you empower them to do that, they'll eat it. They won't complain about the sandwich. I could make the same sandwich, the same little egg sandwich of something, and he'd be, oh, I don't like that bread, or there's too much salt. There's something. But it's funny when they do it. It's their work. That's what they did. They were in charge of it. You empowered them to do it. Yeah. And now we're teaching him lifelong skills that he'll be able to take to his wife and family, and do well with. So I love everything that you said there, because it just. We're empowering these kids to do it. They can do it. Yeah. Teach them, help them. Right. Guide them to it. Absolutely. Hot dog. Well, you go to other countries, kids are making full-on meals, right? Like, we're the only ones that seem like we're missing this piece. Yeah. And then we get frustrated when they have health issues and eczema and acne and, dandruff and, whatever else, low immune systems. We can empower them to take control, or not just control, but also learn within their health. I think it's important too, like, take this in the home to teach them balance, right? So, if they're like, oh, I'm just going to get this cold rice out of the fridge and I'm going to have a bowl of rice, for a snack or whatever. Cool. But how can you make that a full meal? Yeah. What can you add to that rice to make it a full meal? Why don't you just, open a can of chickpeas, rinse them, toss them in there in the pan with your rice, and some of those, steamed veggies that are, or a steamer bag, and steam those in the microwave and toss that all together. Yeah. Then you've got a full meal. Mm-hmm. I always keep sauces made. I feel like sauces are like the queen of healthy living. Okay. Because you put these sauces on anything, it's going to taste great. Yeah. I keep a peanut sauce made where it's literally organic peanut butter, Bragg's aminos. It's got like some rice vinegar, a little bit of rice vinegar in there, like 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, like just a little bit. And then like warm water, you blend it all up. And then, you say you take a stir fry or a steamer bag of veggies with the beans in it or something, and you toss that on some rice that you had pre-cooked in the fridge, put some of that peanut sauce on there. It's amazing. Huh. So if I keep these sauces. Are sauces on your Instagram? They sure are. Under the sauces category. At Life Nutrition, LYFT, LYFE, cheese, nutrition. Yeah. You were thinking the T on all of this is on Life Nutrition. Yes. So the sauces are really a nice piece too, because then you can say, okay, let's make this a full meal. Mm-hmm. If I want oatmeal. Okay. Well, how can we make oatmeal a full meal? Yeah. We could add protein powder to it. In your household, you could say, let's make some eggs. Mm-hmm. My household, we can make some tofu scramble. Mm-hmm. We can do a couple scoops of Sun Warrior protein in there. Add some fruit on top, some blueberries, some bananas, right? How do we make this thing that you want a full meal? Mm-hmm. Bowl of popcorn. Let's sprinkle in some raw nuts on top and some raisins. Mm-hmm. Make it more of like a trail mix instead of just an empty bowl of popcorn, So little things like that, and like teaching them, like, how do we make this a complete snack or meal is important too. Yeah. Oh, you want a banana? How about you have some peanut butter with the banana? Mm-hmm. You want some apple? How about a handful of Brazil nuts and, some carrots along with that too, or whatever. Yeah.
So I think the best way to teach young people is through the practice of our everyday.
Yeah.
And we got to remember our kids want to do what we do.
Yeah.
If you're sitting on the couch eating, or not, let's just not even say the couch. Say you're standing at the counter and you're eating some brownies that the neighbors brought over or whatever. They're going to eat some brownies that the neighbors brought over.
Yeah.
So, but if you're like, oh, that was so nice, let's have one and let's have them after dinner or whatever. And we'll sit at the kitchen table and have them all.
Yeah.
We'll all have one together. And then, oh, that made me feel not great. Let's put some in the freezer. We'll get some out, next week or whatever. Yeah. So that it's not a no. It's not like this untouchable, so that when they get in that environment, they're rebellious and they're like unhinged.
Yeah.
Cause that used to be Brighton too, when he was young, like he's 17. So when he was like 3, I remember we were at a cookout and, it was like a church cookout. And one of the, sweet older men were like, hey buddy, do you want to go over and get some Cheetos? And he's like, what's a Cheeto? And he's like, what? Your kid doesn't know what a Cheeto is? I was like, yeah, winning. Well, then he learned what Cheetos were and how great they were. And every cookout we would have, he would binge like on all the things. And I was like, something I'm doing isn't working for this little person. Yeah. And it was that, that feast or famine. It was unacknowledging the dopamine response. And it can't be about good versus bad to kids. It can't even be about their health because they're invincible. Yeah. They're not connecting that. But what they can connect is their behavior. Yeah. They can connect how they're tired or they're not. So how do we bring it into a way where it's balanced and it's healthy, but we also support the household that they've got choices,
Yeah. No, and I think that's my favorite part of the whole thing is integrating this into it. And I think the big thing with, it takes time. We're all rushed for time. Oh, there's not enough time in the day. But man, if you do the work up front, and gosh, figure these out, install I don't want to say these habits, but kind of these habits, just your ability to think through like, well, I can eat these Cheetos, but I'm also going to know how I'm going to feel, after it. I think it's interesting. Sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place here. When you were talking about kids and the way of what they eat, I know where my wife teaches, I think there's free breakfast for everyone. Like literally anybody can come in and eat free breakfast, which when you think about, we have these malnourished kids, undernourished kids who, are getting free breakfast from the school district, But then when you actually look at what that free breakfast is, like, I don't want to say fasting would be better, but I don't know. It's not food. Yep. There's nothing there that is actually food. And then all of a sudden they're probably sleep deprived. And then they go to school, they're attached to their devices. Yeah. They're getting these hits of, dopamine here, there, and the other where, comparing themselves to all these other people who are living their best life, and, while feeling off, feeling not optimal, or feeling like crap because of what they're putting in their body. Like you can totally see why our kids are, I don't know. The students that my wife tells me about are not smarter, better, higher achieving kids than what we were when we started teaching 20 years ago, which is odd because you would think education would have made strides in the last 20 years. Yeah. But the 7th graders that she's teaching now are less smart than what they were 20 years. And not to throw shade, but it is what it is. And sadly we're going backwards here. Yeah.
Well, we think of the inflammatory response of food.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So the brain is not exempt. The brain, it becomes inflamed like the rest of the tissue, if not more. So that's a big deal. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's where sugar, flour, alcohol, salt, and when I say alcohol, I mean like alcohols that are in things, as well as alcohol too, as well as, our highly processed preservatives. So, with Ethan, my special needs guy who's 20, but mentally 5, when we took out gluten, This was before gluten was really like a thing.
Yeah.
People were like, what? The gluten section was like 2 items and they were like stale, like cardboard, like forget it. The reason why it worked so well is because it pushed you to not having those packaged things. Yeah. Just like long time ago, veganism got people healthy because it didn't push people towards packaged things. It pushed them to real food things because there wasn't vegan junk. There wasn't vegan processed stuff. So again,
and now there is.
And so now we've got vegans that are more unhealthy than ever before, which gives a bad name to the lifestyle of eating plants. But all that to say, you know, we're when we're looking at taking out inflammatory things, the brain can heal itself. Yeah. The brain can heal itself. The body can heal itself. Inflammation is at the crux of all disease and sickness, mental disease, physical disease. And inflammation underneath that is the gut microbiome. So if we're feeding the gut microbiome these inflammatory, you know, fiberless things, we're just building up the inflammatory responses and the markers of the body. Yeah. And this is why we have more behavioral issues than we've ever had. Autism is and the spectrum is at the highest it's ever been. Yeah. ADHD is at the highest it's ever been. Insane. We've got more children with more allergies than we've ever had. We've got every classroom has EpiPens. Every classroom has the albuterol inhalers. Like it's progressively getting so much worse over time. Yeah. So when we say, okay, how can I set my child who I would give my life for to make sure they feel good? How can I best support them and cultivate in them this connection to themselves and what they're putting in their body? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then it becomes an advocacy. I remember the first year we didn't do a turkey at Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I'm just going to tell
Stop the podcast, Krystal.
I'm just, okay.
Oh, geez.
It doesn't have anything to do with turkey or no turkey.
No,
the only turkey we had access to was the turkey from Sam's Club, right? And so we weren't doing turkey. I'm making a lentil loaf or I'm making a shepherd's pie or something like that. First year ever. My son was like 7. And I remember him crying and just being like, but why can't we just have turkey like everybody else? And it was really a very dramatic moment. Yeah. And I may or may not have done the best parenting thing at that point, but I went ahead with it. And I started to show him, you know, how these industrial raised turkeys were being raised. Yeah. And what, you know, their legs breaking and being raised without feathers and just, you know, their sick bodies and they were eating each other and just all of this stuff. And I showed him and I said, this is why we're not having turkey this year for dinner. And he's like upset. And then, you know, I did the same thing with conventional dairy and like showed him the dairy industries at a young age, because I knew that there had to be a heart connection to what he was putting in his body. And this is the turkey you're going to put in your body. This sick, molten, inflamed, diseased turkey is going to go in your body. And that's going to make you feel not great. Yeah. You know, so the connection, and it's not about turkey or not turkey. It's about connection to the food, right? Or the food like food. Yeah. And it's a little bit harder to do that with packaged things. Yeah. That's why we have to prepare and make things that they would normally eat packaged in our home. Yeah. So I would say that is the best way to do that. Maybe, I mean, not the videos, but the best way is to have them involved in that, because he did cry.
Can't hurt.
After that. Yeah. He cried a lot, actually. And yelled at his friends, but that's a different conversation. Yeah.
No, so I think this is great. To empower these kids to do it and really to do it at a young age. You make a fantastic point. Once they hit 16, holy cow. Yeah. They have a little bit of money. Yep. They can drive places. Yep.
Go get the addictive things. Yeah.
And they make it so convenient. Everybody makes it convenient at the gas station or the fast food or whatever it is. You know, and they're in charge. And it's interesting, again, doing nutritional presentations, you know, on a yearly basis for the last 8 years now. It's truly on these kids. And if they want to, you know, eat good, you know, they do some overnight oats, you know, first thing in the morning, they can. If they want to skip breakfast and have a Starbucks, they can. If they want to eat a nice balanced lunch that they they can. If they want to eat the a corn dog and a chocolate milk. They can't, like, it's holy cow. But again, it's in my end, it's interesting to see the kids that from a performance standpoint end up flying and really doing well. These are the kids that take care of themselves, and they're not crazy. They're not psychotic.
Right. They're mindful.
They're mindful.
They're aware.
They know that, hey, if they have to leave at 7:30 in the morning, that they're going to have to get up at blankety blank o'clock just to make sure that they have time to eat some food.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they have to saute up the most amazing breakfast you've ever seen.
Right.
But hey, they might Sunday night, put 5 things of overnight oats in the refrigerator, so they have breakfast all week, and they know they can take it on the run, or if they have 5 minutes to sit down, but something that's going to be the quality, and also has some quantity to it. So
yeah.
What do we miss? Do we miss anything with kids' nutrition?
I think that smoothies are really a green smoothie. I really feel like that's a shifter for kids, because you're getting in nutrients that they wouldn't normally eat, right? They're not going to eat a big spinach salad. Yeah. They're not. And so you're getting it in with the sweetness of the protein powder, right? I always love Sun Warrior or Orgain, or just, a quality plant, a minimally processed plant protein. And the reason why I like plant-based proteins is because the protein is assimilated easier than a whey-based or a dairy-based, especially for youngins with the mucus, mucus forming properties that caseins have, especially because we're not really sure what the measurement is on these protein powders. Yeah. So I like to do a plant-based protein powder, like a Sun Warrior or something along those lines. Yeah. That's the sweetness. And then the antioxidants, a blueberry, a banana in there for creaminess, but really pack those greens in. And that's a beautiful time too, to add in, some vitamin D, some B complex, some ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C, maybe even some kelp, which is an iodine, which helps nourish their thyroid, which is really important. And so I feel like that smoothie. So in our house, it doesn't even matter if it's on Christmas Day and we're having brunch. Yeah. We'll whip up a quick batch of smoothies, because that's like the foundation within the gut for the rest of the day. Yeah. Literally, like if my kids are away and they're not home for one morning, when they come back, even if it's at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, first thing they ask for is a smoothie. Yeah. Like, I need a smoothie, because they know like how much better they feel. Yep. So they're hydrated. They've got the antioxidants of the berries, the greens, the fibers, the protein from the protein powder. It's a full balanced meal. Yeah. Sometimes I'll even throw in like a handful of raw cashews or a handful of Brazil nuts, some macadamia nuts or something, blend that up with the NutriBullet, because it pulverizes it. Yes. Don't even worry about doing a plant milk, because there's really no nutrients in there. No. We want the fat from there. Flax seeds, chia seeds for their omega-3s, and they're drinking this down, right? It's no big deal. It's just on the table when they get up. It's there. It's bright green. They drink it. Doesn't taste green. Yeah. And that's pretty much how we start every single day. Yeah. And so we eat what we crave. Yeah. And then you get those greens in. Adults too. Adults that hate vegetables, we don't even talk about vegetables until you work in that smoothie for 9 days. Yeah. And sure enough, by day 9, they're like, I actually like it. I actually look forward to a smoothie in the morning. I'm not talking a fruit smoothie. I'm talking a green smoothie. Yeah. So very different. So that's I like to start there, especially with kids. And then, on my Instagram too, I've got some really easy, like oat pancakes. This literally like 4 ingredients. You throw it in the NutriBullet, pour it in the skillet. It's basically like way more fun than a bowl of oatmeal. Yeah. To eat a couple of pancakes with put some almond butter on there, a little bit of the, organic maple syrup from Costco, just a little bit, right? It feels like a treat. It feels celebratory, but it's really not. Yeah. Yeah. So having stuff like that's like available and around, it becomes just your normal. Yeah. Is a really great way to like, and it's not like they're on a diet. No.
Just healthy food.
Yeah. And we don't even have to call it healthy. It's just food. Yeah. Right? Because there shouldn't be a differentiation between healthy and unhealthy food. It should be food or non-food. Yeah. The way I see it. Like
rock,
crumble
not
cookies.
Rock.
Yeah. Crumble cookies are not food. Yeah. That's not food. Right? food is actual ingredients. My son calls us an ingredient household. He's like, Mom, we're such an ingredient household. Like, if I want something, I got to make it, and he's not wrong, but it's my job, not my job, but I have made it my job to keep on of having those ingredients formed into something called food.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that goes back to, that was this podcast, right? Or was it a different podcast? Where we're talking about the you constantly keeping sweets in your house. Was this podcast? Different podcast.
This is this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Always keeping.
They're all flying together on me.
Desserts. Yeah.
Gosh.
Whole food desserts, of course.
Whole food. Yes. So, I mean, just long story short, friends, everybody needs to go to Life Nutrition on Instagram or Facebook, probably Instagram.
Instagram's better.
And check it all out, because that's,
go to the highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a cookbook will be coming this year. I promise.
Yeah.
I promise. I've been promising for a long time, but I really, really promise.
In what form is this cookbook coming?
Well, I'd like it to be tangible.
Okay.
I really would. I do not like e-stuff.
Okay.
I just don't.
It's not going to be a PDF.
Lives there.
Okay.
No, it's got to be, and it may not be like top-notch quality with professional pictures, but I want to get something out.
Okay.
If not for the world, for myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm sick of going to my own Instagram to look at my own recipe.
What did that have in it?
I know. Literally yesterday, I'm like on this reel, I'm hearing this song go over and over again, and I'm like muting it so I can screenshot my own recipe, because it's easier than going to get it out of my binder. So yeah,
that's hilarious.
I feel like, and they're all oil-free, sugar-free, flour-free. There are a couple with just a little bit of pure coconut oil, but that's the extent of the oils that I use in my food.
I don't think that'd be bad.
Yeah, not bad at all.
No.
So I would even say, just go through there and save a couple and make a couple. And I say mine, there's a ton out there.
Yeah.
You don't have to be mine, but I say mine because I know they're good.
And do yours. We're gonna have to check this out.
See what you can find there.
Well, and it's funny because I'm not very creative. I do like I don't know. I am kind of boring, where I could do the, a nice elk steak with some broccoli and a potato.
Yeah.
Like that sounds fantastic to me. And then I could do that every day. So but I know the rest of my family, specifically my wife, probably could not. So the idea of checking that out, and then again having it for the kids and stuff like that. That's what this podcast is. The youth nutrition piece. Lots
of pastas in there.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're making them for a meal, you want to make them a complete meal. Have a protein with that pasta. Have a big. I always say 3/4 the plates vegetables, and when I say veggies, I mean starchy and non. So, whether it's potatoes and asparagus and something raw, that's always with that pasta. So I'm not saying we're eating mounds of pasta.
Yeah.
That pasta is a part of the meal, but it's not the meal.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does.
And that way, when you're having a linguine or a pumpkin pasta, it's like so good and satisfying, but it's not to where it's only meat, potatoes, and a vegetable.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. What do we miss?
Did
we leave anything out?
I think that, we wanted to keep it basic. I think that it's just super important to involve our kids. Obviously, like we've talked on podcasts before, it's not easy, but it's also not easy watching your kids go down a path maybe you went down.
Yeah.
Especially, I was obese by the time I was 8 years old. And so it was very important to prioritize relationship with food, quality of food within my household, because I knew the pain of growing up like that.
Yeah.
Not just emotional pain, but physical pain.
Yeah.
So it was very important. And are my kids overweight? No, they're not even close to overweight. In fact, they might be a little underweight, but that's not because they're underweight. It's because our American standards are now
it's hard to measure.
So moved, and they're not growing up with hormones and empty calories. They're growing up with good, whole, nourishing food. So I trust that their body weight set point is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think it's very important to involve your kids in the process, to make it a family thing. Again, if our health isn't a priority, and we've been taught that it shouldn't have to be a priority, we've been lied to and we're buying into a lie. You look at other countries or even indigenous areas, like most of their life is built around gathering and preparing and eating food.
Yeah.
Like that's most of their life.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to do all that. We have the luxury of a grocery store. So let's at least, be good stewards of that luxury. Yeah. And everybody says shop the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
Stay out of those aisles as much as possible. Yeah. I am so grateful for Woodman's in Rockford. Mm-hmm. I will tell you, I go to other cities when I travel. We really are blessed. Like when it comes to what we have access to here, we have access to everything we could possibly want in a recipe. Yeah. So
that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Go to Woodman's.
Absolutely.
And then check out Costco.
Yeah. And if you need a store tour, drop me a line in Facebook, because I used to do those. I used to do a grocery store tour. It takes about 2 hours. Just kind of go through like ingredients, what to look for, how to shop, what's important on the organic list and what's really not. Well, it's all important, but what, within your budget. Yeah. And how, and even like looking in the beauty aisle, when it comes to fluoride and when it comes to hand soaps and those long-term forever chemicals, how do we start to look at things from a different lens?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the next podcast.
All right.
So that'll just start lining them up, Krystal. This will be good.
Start a whiteboard.
Yeah.
Start the list.
Yes. Right there. There it is. I'm going to write that down before I forget it. Awesome. Again, listeners, you've heard this before. If you've listened to previous podcasts, Life Nutrition on Instagram and Facebook. Yes. Life with a Y, L-Y-F-E. Right. No, Krystal, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
5-time guest.
Thank you for having me.
And that sweatshirt looks fantastic. Well done.
Oh, great.
Fits you well.
Yes.
Good job.
I have to be back now.
There you go. Yeah.
I need some training next time I come.
Done.
I need some better form on the sumo deadlift and probably squats.
Are you more of a sumo puller than a traditional puller?
I am a sumo puller. Okay. Yeah.
You're not very tall, so that kind of tracks.
I know. I cheat.
Yeah.
No, it's good. Only 5'4". You don't have to pull it very far.
Yeah. Well, I have slightly longer arms and I am tall. Not very tall either, but yeah, that sumo pull is if I'm trying to go heavy is a better pull for me. But
yeah, it's all about the hip.
It is.
My hip mobility. That's why I go to Sattva yoga.
Yeah.
Hot fit yoga is for those hips.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's a game changer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And they've been on your show several times.
They have been. Yes.
I'm a firm believer of going there and doing strength training. Mm-hmm. Those are my 2 top things.
That's about all you need.
And walking. I walk a lot.
And walking.
I love to walk. Put in these podcasts and walk.
Yes.
Yep.
Gosh, we should have said that at the beginning. Son of a gun.
I know. That needs to be the opener from now on.
Listeners, next podcast. No, not next podcast.
Go back and listen to the ones that you haven't listened to.
This podcast was so good. This podcast is so amazing. Go back to the beginning. You're going to have to re-listen to it because you couldn't have gotten everything the first time.
Well, you put out so much content, good content. Oh. I'm sure there's some that people have missed. I know there's some I've missed. In fact, I just heard
out of the 100 and some odd episodes, there's some you've missed? Come on.
It's true. I know. I need to put my notification. So if you don't have your notification on for Oak Strength Podcast, you should do that.
Well, the first 20 or so were a little rough.
I know. They were. I was going to say the first 20 minutes where we should have said that. We should have said, turn on the notifications, like and subscribe.
Yes.
Share with your friends. Tell us you like us so we can keep creating more content.
There's the plug right there.
That's right. At the end instead of the beginning.
Yes.
At least we got it.
Yes. Guys, I hope you're still listening.
This is like the bloopers at this point.
Yeah. Okay. People are still hanging on. Krystal, again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Me.
Listeners, thanks for listening. We'll check you on the next one. That's all we have for you today. If you have any questions or want to chat or interested in seeing what we're up to in between episodes, head over to Instagram and Facebook and follow @OakStrength. Also check us out at oakstrength.com. If you like this episode, please share it with someone who wants to live happy, healthy, and strong. If you really liked it, subscribe and review the Happy, Healthy, Strong podcast on iTunes or Spotify. Be sure to tune back in next week and remember to keep owning your health.